I want to be one of the greats. And because I'm doing that, it's going to take up more of my time. And this is why I don't think that we should be together.
Has this movie provided you with answers to how far you would ever push yourself or let other ones push you to get the best out of yourself? What your own boundaries are?
Or how far you might want to push someone else.
Well, that's part of the sort of central debate, that theme, and I think there's you don't achieve greatness without pushing, whether it's you pushing yourself or pushing others. Again, having said that, the methodology is possibly questionable. But yeah, I do the whole scene in the jazz club. After my brilliant piano solo, where I discussed I just tossed that in there. Yeah,
It's like 4 bars.
no, it totally has to do with my point. Just hear me out.
Unbelievable.
Dude, I actually had to
Sliding your
practice that.
fingers.
That's what's really sad, is that I don't do that well. So I did practice a lot of
Sausage
that.
fingers.
Don't let's get started on fingers, dude. Yes, practice is good.
Gentleman in the red hat.
Hi, first of all, thank you for an absolutely amazing movie. It definitely is Oscar worthy, no doubt about that. Just ask a couple of questions, actually. One is the jazz scene as it is now, particularly on drummers. I remember there was a drumming record which was a total classic, which was Skin Deep, which was Lou Belson, and I think part 2 was totally drums. That's it. And this reminded me of that sort of thing, and I don't think, unless I'm corrected, please correct me, if there are any drummers like that today. And secondly, I would like to ask both JK and also, if I may, Miles, about what inspires you both as actors. What inspires you? So, in other words, if you were a drummer, what would inspire you? But what would inspire you as actors? Thank you.
Just in terms of what's great about, and maybe part of the reason why the movie is about, at least nominally, about big band jazz, which really, even more so than you can kind of argue that jazz itself has been marginalized in the culture. Big band jazz is like non-existent in the culture now, and to a large extent. But it was the era when drummers were celebrities in a weird way. Louis Bellson was a showman, Gene Krupa, Joe Jones, Chick Webb, Buddy Rich. These people were, if not the most kind of spotlighted people of their group, certainly among them, of their various ensembles. So in a way, you're a side man, but you're also a front man. So I remember when I was kind of learning to be a drummer, there was something very romantic about that era, which I never lived through, but just kind of watching old footage of those guys and just the way they would the way they would make their drum sets, the gleaming sort of drum heads and the slanted snares and the way the initials would be written on these huge floor toms that are bigger than rock bands' floor toms, or sorry, bass drums. So there was a whole romanticism to it that existed then that I don't think really exists anymore. But it's also something I think doesn't really exist in small combo jazz either. Obviously, many of the greatest drummers in jazz history were primarily small combo players, many of the most important ones. But this movie specifically about the big band world, which is just its own kind of, to me, its own kind of romantic sort of era. Yeah.
An inspiration for you guys?
I was, rather than listening to Damian, trying to think of how to respond to that question, because I've never really thought of consciously being inspired by other actors. Certainly, there are many actors that I greatly admire, and I was just thinking of a couple of films. Anthony Hopkins in The Elephant Man, for one. For whatever reason, Willem Dafoe in Platoon jumped into my head. But I'm really inspired by, and this goes back to the beginning of my theater days, really the beginning of my music days. I felt like when I was studying classical music in college, it was about Brahms or Schubert or whoever I was singing, you know, that I sort of feel like a conduit to great creative artists, whether they're composers or whether it's Shakespeare or Chazelle. It's really it's the creator that inspires me.
Miles, anyone?
Yeah, you know, I don't know for me kind of when it clicked into something different than just kind of getting on stage in high school and making people laugh and just kind of the entertainment aspect of it. I really enjoyed it. I'd say something, people would clap, and that was exciting for me. But I think there was something about when I started taking classes in New York and kind of going to the Lee Strasberg Institute there, and you walk in and you're seeing, you know, black and white photos of Pacino at that same school, and, you know, and De Niro and Brando and Hoffman and all these guys, and I think that's what's, you know, to me inspiring. I just love the kind of the history of acting, and I think it is such a beautiful craft, and it is something that is, you know, you absolutely get out of it kind of what you put into it. And so for me, I guess that's kind of what I'm inspired by is just trying to, you know, to just kind of be a part of something that I have such a great respect for, and to not, you know, disrespect it. I don't know. Get
Great.
inspired.
We got time for 2 very quick questions, I'm afraid. Gentleman there, and then we'll come down to you there.
There's a scene towards the end of the movie, just after the amazing piano solo, where Fletcher.
Thank you.
Fletcher talks about there's that conversation, and Fletcher talks about his desire to see people that he's working with exceed his expectations. And I just wondered if anybody could point towards like a time during the production when someone they were working with exceeded their expectations.
During the production of this film?
During the production of this film.
When I saw the movie, it exceeded my expectations for it. You know, it's very rarely, at least from my experience, that the movie is better than the script. Usually the script is so good and you hope to make a version of it that kind of gives you that feeling you get when you first read it. And absolutely, when I saw this film for the first time, I was kind of blown away by what Damian had done with it. Because as an actor, for the final product, you really have little to do with it. I mean, at the end of the day, you film for a couple weeks and then people mess with it for like a year, or in Damian's case, 2 months, and you know, and they put it together, and your opinion means nothing. They're choosing what takes, and they're, you know, picking what angles they're shooting it at. But just the way Damian shot it, and kind of the tension and suspense, all that stuff. As an actor, you can't act suspense. You don't act tension. That's all kind of done in the edit. So I was really, you know, truly blown away by Damian's talent, and yeah, and that's why I'm doing his next film.
And last question, gentleman here.
Miles, Damian said in an interview that your personality is much closer to your characters than we think. Do you agree with that?
Sorry, what did
the character is more real to us?
Damian said in an interview, in an
okay.
IndieWire interview, that your real personality is much closer than to your characters than we think. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like, no, I mean, it's, you know, I think that it's probably a side of me, yeah, that my buddies have never seen. Maybe, you know, my girlfriend has kind of seen over this past year and a half, because she's seen how much I've like wanted to, you know, I've just wanted this. I've wanted to kind of work on these films, and she sees that kind of passion and drive for me. But yeah, most people, you know, I've never really seen that kind of a side to me, and get an opportunity in a script like this to show and show how it connects to you and really kind of wear your heart on your sleeve. So yeah, but no, I'm not. I mean, I go out with girls, you know, I go to the gym and stuff.
You have friends?
Yeah, I hang out with my friends.
I'm going to finish, if that's okay, by...
What interview was that?
I'm going to finish by just asking about the quote, where no two words in the English language are more dangerous than good job. Did someone say that to you?
Me?
Yeah.
No. No, that was from my own sick mind. Yeah, I do remember when I was, I grew up partly mostly in the U.S., but partly in France. And I remember in France, they would joke to me about how, I guess in their mind, their vision of America was people saying good job all the time. They had this vision that I had never kind of thought about, and I guess it is true. So, but it seemed to me again like something that I guess what's interesting to me about that scene is that there's many ways to take the Charlie Parker kind of myth, and some people pointed out, which is true, that actually even most versions of that myth don't even involve the actual like throwing the symbol at his head. It's actually just kind of putting it on the ground.
I wish my character knew that.
And that that J.K. that Fletcher truly uses, twists this myth around to totally justify his own behavior, and the fact that he pulls from it this lesson that you just should never say good job. It's not a lesson I necessarily agree with, but at the same time, and as with any character you write, I guess, you want to be able to see their point of view, and as screwed up as Fletcher's mindset is, the one thing that I do think makes him somewhat noble is that in a world of hypocrites, he has a coherent worldview. There's an integrity to his worldview. It might be a very perverted and despicable one, but it's one that he will go to his grave defending. He'll throw his career away in Carnegie Hall in order to defend this point of view. He literally cares nothing more than about finding this Charlie Parker. So his methods are horrible, but at least there's something to be said for that kind of that sort of blind passion.
Thank you for being here today. Thank you for sharing your story. Congratulations on an incredible film. And thank you guys for being here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I would never let him put my son through hell. Why would you let him get away with what he did to you?
There are no two words in the English language more harmful than good job.